Hey guys, I'm Jake from GTRU, and I'm going to be talking about my top 10 horror films for this month, for the top 10s category that we have. Keep in mind, most of these movies are very high rated. You might not agree with them, but these are my top 10, and here we go. I'm going to start down from the list from 10 to 1. So, first off, my first movie I want to talk about is 10. It is Cujo. I love Cujo for a few reasons. For one, it was more of like a monster movie than anything. It was about a dog that gets rabies from a bat after he searches in a tunnel, basically for this rabbit, and after that he gets bit, and then later a family goes to this residence basically to get their car fixed by a mechanic who is the owner of the dog Cujo. The family, it's Donna, her son Tad, and then her husband Vic. Now Donna and Vic, they're having marital problems. She's been having an affair with her high school boyfriend, or ex-boyfriend, as I should say, and basically they go there to get their car fixed. And then he goes on a business trip, and she goes back. But at that point, Cujo has become rabid, and he has killed his owner. He's killed the neighbors. He's killed everyone. And then when they try to leave, he basically traps them. So they have to find a way to get out of there because it's hot. They're in the middle of nowhere. They're suffering from dehydration and heat stroke, of course. So she's trying to figure out how to get out. And overall, it was a great movie. I would definitely recommend checking out if you haven't seen it. It came out in the 80s, I believe. The overall movie, I gave about an 8 out of 10. Like I said, I liked the whole. It was suspense of it. The way it was portrayed as a monster film. And the best thing is that really happens. Rabies is a real thing, and that could happen to any one of us that becomes a victim to that type of disease. I didn't like about it is the whole thing with the affair. They talked about it, but then at the end of the movie, there was never, or throughout the movie after Cujo becomes rabid, they didn't talk about it at all. So that was basically about it for Cujo. Next up, we have Jaws. I like Jaws for a few reasons. Well, a lot of you probably think it's just a psychological thriller film made by Steven Spielberg, but it's actually considered a horror as well, and that's why I chose it. It's one of my favorites in the horror genre. It's number 9. Basically, Jaws. If you haven't seen Jaws, it's about a shark that's been attacking people at this town, and basically, there's 3 main characters. There's Martin Brody, he's the sheriff for the town, and then you have Quint, he's a shark hunter who wants to for the money. He's trying to hunt the shark for the money, and then you got Matt Hooper, who's an oceanographer who helps him figure out how to best way to get to this shark. Basically, Brody's we should shut the beach down, and the mayor doesn't want to because it's a huge fundraiser for the town. So basically, as the attacks go on throughout the movie, the 3 of them, Brody, Quint, and Hooper, go out on a boat to get the shark, and all hell breaks loose basically because shark's attacking them, and he's been outwitting them every step of the way. I don't want to spoil the whole movie, but they face the shark. They save the town, I guess. They kill him eventually, and check it out. I gave the movie about a 9 out of 10 as well. Well, not as well, but 9 out of 10. A little bit better than Cujo. I liked it. Overall, the movie was great. The plot, trying to get the shark. It's basic, another monster type film, so I liked it. I didn't give it a 10 because it lacks some things like pacing, whatnot. That's about it for that. My next movie, number 8, is going to be Night of the Living Dead, which came out in 1968. Very old classic horror film. Now, this one is about zombies. This is actually considered to be one of the first biggest hit zombie films. Basically, zombies are loose, and you have a cast of a few characters. You have the main character Ben, you have Barbara, Harry, he's the villain, Harry's wife Helen, their daughter Karen, Tom and Judy, they're a teenage couple, and then you have Johnny, who is Barbara's brother. Barbara and Johnny go to the gravesite of one of their relatives, and that's when a zombie attacks them, and then Johnny actually gets killed after falling and hitting his head. Yeah, figures. So then the zombie chases Barbara, and then she runs into Ben, and then they wind up going to this farmhouse. And then Helen, and Harry and his family are basically there as well. They're basically we're staying here, so they board up the house, just get away from the zombies. Tom and Judy are also there because they got attacked as well, and the farm was the nearest place they could go. And that's really it for the cast. The movie was great. They're basically them trying to figure out what to do, what's going on. They do find out that it is some kind of mass murdering spree going on with these. They're rising from the dead. It's from some kind of radiation spillage that happened from Venus or something like that. They got something from Venus. They brought it back and spilled, and it's bringing the dead back to life in a zombie form. And basically, Harry, he's not making things any better. He's like Molotoving, he's aggravating them, and throughout the whole film, he's a huge threat throughout the whole film. He's a very classic villain. He's one of those guys you're just like, God, I can't wait till they kill this guy. You know what? So, throughout the film, every zombie movie, there's a bunch of deaths. I'm not going to go into every death, but Tom and Judy, they end up blowing themselves up because they spill gasoline when they're trying to get Barbara to a hospital because she's in shock from everything. And then because Harry is throwing Molotovs, it ends up lighting that and their car blows up. Those are two deaths. I won't spoil Harry's death, or I won't spoil the rest, but I'll definitely check it out. I like this movie a lot. I give it about a 9.5 out of 10. It really set in tone zombie movies that are out today, and especially The Walking Dead. It is a huge influence on The Walking Dead. It is considered to be the first big zombie flick. So definitely check it out if you haven't. It came out in 1968. It is an older movie, but I'm telling you, it's a great movie. For number 7, I have Psycho. I am a big fan of the Psycho series. The Norman Bates concept, everything, it's great. Psycho basically is about this woman named Marion who basically wants to get married to this guy Sam, but they don't have enough money. He's in debt, and then her boss wants her to pick up like, was it $40,000? I believe it is. I could be wrong, but it's a large sum of money. But she ends up stealing it, and she basically drives to go meet with Sam, and basically she ends up getting to the Bates Motel. She gets sidetracked to the Bates Motel from a storm, and she stayed there for the night, and then she ends up actually getting murdered by a unknown woman figure. So basically after that, Marion's sister Lila is like, Sam, have you seen Marion? Your girlfriend. And they go looking for her. They hire an investigator named Arbogast who actually finds. He basically tracks it back to her last location, to the Bates Motel. He starts investigating, and then he actually gets killed again by this woman figure. So then they end up going there, Lila and Sam, and then all hell breaks loose, and then they face off, and then there's actually a big shocking revelation about the whole thing regarding the woman, who is, I won't say it, but like I said, another good horror flick, and definitely I wish you should check it out. I gave the film also about a 9.5 out of 10. I liked how they introduced Marion, and then they actually killed her off. You're like, oh my god, this is the main character, but at the same time, it's not. Like, horror films are very weird about that, which I like about horror. They're a very different take on directing. They don't just focus on the main character, and they can kill them off as soon as they introduce them. No one's safe in horror films. That's what I like about it. My next film that I liked was number 6. This is actually original Halloween, which was made in 1974. Very good slasher classic. I liked all the Halloweens, but the first original one was always the best, and also I like the remake as well. But nothing beats the original. I'm sorry. Basically, if you know the story of Michael Myers, he was a boy who killed his sister. He went to an institution. He's basically a form of evil, an evil murderer. And he actually escapes and heads back home, where he starts terrorizing a bunch of teenagers. The main character for one of them is Laurie. And basically, Dr. Loomis, his doctor, is trying to stop him from getting there and causing havoc, but he is too late as he goes on a huge killing spree. And the whole film was great. Very classic film. I enjoyed it a lot. They fight Michael, and he's like unstoppable, like he's in every other film. But there's a bunch of sequels as well. But I definitely enjoyed this one. I gave it about a 9. Like I said, it's very classical, but pacing, it felt very dragged. If you're more of like, I want something to happen, action, this movie's gonna be a little hard to watch. But I definitely recommend checking out. Very good horror classic, Halloween. Michael Myers. My next film I liked for number 5, and this is going to be the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, another great 1974 film. Oh my god, this movie was just bloody, bloody beyond like usual. Basically, these teenagers are going on a trip. They run out of gas, and they end up going to this house, and the house is actually being lived in by this man named Leatherface, who is a murderer, and he ends up killing a bunch of them. He ends up for one, he kills Kirk with a hammer, and then he makes his girlfriend Pam watch as he butchers him with his chainsaw. And not to mention she's hooked up on a meat thing, and then Jerry comes in to see what's going on, and he gets killed. And then I think Pam she eventually freezes, and then Sally and Franklin. Sally is the main character, and her brother Franklin. They come. Franklin ends up dying, and then she ends up finding out it's a huge family thing that's going on here, and the whole film is just crazy. I give this movie about a 9.5 out of 10. I like the ending. It left it very interpreted to find out what's going to happen in terms of a sequel, and there is a huge following for this, and there's a bunch of sequels as well. I definitely would check this film out as well. It is very good and a very good classic, and another slasher genre film. For number 4, we're talking about my favorite horror icon, Jeepers Creepers. I love the film, the original Jeepers Creepers. It's basically about these two, brother and sister, Trish and Derry. They're going home from college in spring break, and they run into this guy in a truck, and they find out and they see him basically hiding a body in a tunnel. They investigate, they find out there's a bunch of bodies down there, and then he starts to chase them and terrorize them. And basically, they find out that he's not human. He's some kind of creature that feeds off people's organs to survive. And he comes out every 23rd spring for 23 days to feed. So, another good film. I gave this film a 10 out of 10. I loved it. The ending was phenomenal. It was a very big shocker at the end. I won't spoil it, so in case you want to watch it, you can. But definitely check out Jeepers Creepers. There's no better horror film than that. Number 3 is The Shining. I am a huge Jack Nicholson fan, and I definitely love The Shining. I think it's one of his best films, honestly. He's like a recovering alcoholic. He's going to this hotel for isolation to get away from everything. He's with his wife, Wendy, and his son, Danny. And Danny is considered to be somewhat of a psychic, so he sees like everything in the past and the future, and the hotel they're in is haunted, so he senses all the ghosts' presence, basically, in the film. It's a very long film as well. It's like, I don't know, I think it's over 3 hours. But basically, all this stuff's happening, and then eventually, Jack is influenced by a supernatural evil from the ghosts, and they want him to kill his family, and he goes crazy, and he ends up trying to kill him with a axe, and it gets way out of hand. But the ending too is shocking. Danny, you find out he does something very smart to stop his father once and for all, and I won't spoil that in case you haven't seen it, but definitely check it out. It came out in about 1980. There's also I believe a reboot. I don't believe it's as good because Jack Nicholson just brings a lot of energy to this film that no other actor can, and he's just funny, man. And also, if you ever heard "Here's Johnny," that comes from this film. That line. One of the best, I think, one of the funniest lines I've ever heard in horror or in film in general. That's that one. Number 2 is actually, I don't know if not many people have seen it. It has a cult following. It's known as Grave Encounters. It's basically a point of view film, so it's from camera, but I like the overall concept of it. Basically, how do I start this? This guy Lance, he runs this reality show on them investigating supernatural occurrences at events, and they go to this asylum, and they're investigating, whoever's present, they're kind of bullshitting, but then they don't realize they're actually at a haunted place as all these crazy occurrences happen. They run into insane patients, like ghosts. They end up going to the asylum, and then like crazy stuff happens, like it never turns day again. Every exit turns out to be a hallway, every emergency exit. If you have ghosts running out, you have like this guy he has his tongue cut out all the time. He has this girl, her mouth opens like, so creepy film, honestly, very spooky. I enjoyed it. What I liked about it is that even though it was a POV, it broke down their characters pretty well, like their psyche of like where they are at. The asylum and also the setting. The setting really sets in tone. Like since it's in an asylum, it really breaks down their like mentality. Like they actually they're becoming crazier as they progress through this asylum. And then even at the end, like they reach a point of no return, and as their friends like dying from all these patients, great film. I gave it about 9.8, not quite a 10. Um, I don't really have a reason for that. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't a 10 movie, but it was close, almost perfect. If I didn't give it for The Shining, I'm sorry. I believe The Shining I give about a 10 out of 10. Jack Nicholson. Um, and my final film that I am going to be talking about is my favorite, and it is the original Saw. I'm a huge Saw fan. I loved the first seven, and basically these guys wake up. I think it's Dr. Lawrence and this guy Michael, and they're basically like, "Why are we here?" And then they're being tested by this serial killer known as Jigsaw, and they're trying to figure out why they're there. And then they find out, and all this other stuff's happening. You have this guy who's trying to figure out who the Jigsaw murderer is, and he's played by Danny Glover, and he's basically trying to figure it out. He's trying to save them, but without knowing that they're alive. There's a lot of twists in this film. The whole series, there's twists, and even in the first one, something that happens in the first one actually reverts all the way back to the seventh one, which is the final one that they made. I enjoyed it. Very bloody, very good plot overall, and the ending was just phenomenal. There was no way they could have ended that any better. It was such a twist. It was a twist I'll never forget ever. The first Saw I give about a 10 out of a 10. Most the other ones I did not give as much, but that's the only Saw I give. It was a fantastic film. I checked that one out as well. But that's about it for the my top tens for horror films. I'm very, like you could tell, I liked a lot of the old classical stuff. Some of the newer stuff, it's okay, but nothing beats classic 60s, 70s, 80s. You can't beat that. Horror was at its best, I believe, in that time. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's okay now, but it's not as good as that. But I'm Jake from GTRU. Have a happy Halloween this week. Get some candy, do whatever, trunk party. Shane will be having his list as well of his top 10 favorite horror films, and we'll be posting this along with our episode 7 of GTRU. Thank you again. I want you, if you watch this video, to comment, like, and subscribe, and also check out our other videos. We talk about a lot of stuff, like The Walking Dead, Flash. Definitely check it out. We talk about games, music, if you like rock. We really would like feedback, and tell us what you guys want us to talk about. We could always change it up. Thank you again. This is Jake from GTRU.